I've always considered myself a small business operator and an employer. I focused primarily on building strong relationships with my racially and gender diverse employees, their families, my clients. And as a candidate, saying you support Black Lives Matter or gender equality is one thing, but putting those ideas into practice, and actually hiring employees with diversity and equality as an important hiring factor is another. I've prided myself on being an equal opportunity employer to all genders, sexual orientations, and races, and I'll continue to do that as the District 3 City Council candidate. The City Council staff currently is unforgivably lacking in diversity in all areas. The COVID-19 pandemic combined with racial injustice, I think is the movement of the current moment, but it's also awakened me with a sense of duty to my community. And so far, I not just preach, but practice my values as a small business operator and employer, and made material difference in the lives of people under my care.
I am an example that an ordinary person can have a real influence in local politics if you are on the right side, which is the side of the community. As part of the Occupy movement, I protested against systemic racism and inequality for years. I also organized figure skating coaches that were misclassified as employees, giving them a greater voice at the workplace with a fair contract. But 2017 was a pivotal year for me when I ran against Corey Johnson and pushed him on the Small Business Job Survival Act. I asked the simple question, why he never passed powerful legislation that would have solved the crisis of small business closures. Those efforts pushed him to give the SBJSA a public hearing, pushing City Council to be more accountable to small businesses. I have also organized tenants at Fulton and Elliott Chelsea NYCHA and successfully stopped the demolition of 2 buildings at Fulton houses. Were we not victorious, that would have set a precedent citywide to demolish public housing. And I am still working with tenants to stop rental assistance demonstration, RAD, and all privatization, and to call out the mayor's working group as a sham.
So I have been an activist since 1968 when I participated in my first sit-in in high school. I often define myself as an activist, labor and civil rights lawyer, which I've been doing since 1978, mostly doing employment, representing employees in all kinds of actions, representing unions. I think I'm one of the leading labor lawyers in the country, certainly the leading person that represents troublemakers in unions and workplaces. And in 1991, I started turning my attention, when I had kids, to my community. And I've been the Democratic District Leader since 1995, which I originally became because I was told it would be a way to get more money for local parks and playgrounds. And I've used it as a place to be active politically, supporting a range of progressive candidates that go up to Bernie Sanders. I was his lawyer in New York in 2016, Jumaane Williams, Cynthia Nixon, lots of people like that.
I began my career in government as the LGBTQ liaison at the City Council. In 2011, I went to work for Governor Cuomo as his liaison to the LGBT community, fighting for marriage equality in New York State. Since 2015, I've been Chief of Staff to Speaker Corey Johnson, and I'm so proud of what we've done together here in the district, working to improve our parks and schools, to create affordable housing and improve senior services. I was part of the effort to strengthen the rent laws in 2018. I've been an executive committee on the executive committee of the Village Independent Democrats, fighting for a true Democratic majority in Albany, Democratic majorities in the US Congress, and of course, the election of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris last year. And I am extremely proud of what we've done together and looking forward to continuing to work with all of you at the City Council.
I was always a very politically minded person. Even as a young adult, I was involved with the National Abortion Rights Action League, NARAL, and I was trained to lobby senators against unfair laws. I was very much involved in my community during the AIDS crisis. My mother and some other neighbors created a program called the Manhattan Plaza AIDS Project. That's what it developed into, where we were of service to the hundreds and hundreds of friends and neighbors who were being left to die alone. I was often showing up to march against unrealistic wars, to campaign for candidates that were in alignment. And I've just, as I've grown, always been very engaged in community activism and support, including, right away joining my son's PTA board at his small cooperative preschool, where I eventually became president of their board.
So I am not a politician, and I never intentionally crafted a pathway to public office. My involvement grew organically, from serving on the board of my building to joining my block association, and then working at the local women and children's shelter, then not far from my home. Right now, I'm on my district's budget task force, helping to financially prioritize our neighborhood needs. I'm an exec board member of Community Board 4, dealing with neighborhood projects and policies every day. But some specific examples are this past summer, when I saw schools weren't ready for what was coming in September. I decided to do something about it, and I got all the student teachers together from the local universities and created a program to teach live distance learning to our district Title I kids. When I found out the bulk of pollution in our district comes from cruise ships on the west side, I researched a greener path forward, and now we're taking the first steps to electric shore power. And really, a big part of my campaign is concentrating on COVID recovery. Recently, I worked to bring a new e-commerce platform to our district, helping local businesses connect to residents here and around the city and fight against the Amazon effects our mom and pop stores are suffering from.